Good evening and welcome to Tinkering with Edkelar. It is time to make something useful again. This time I have a turntable in the literal sense. I wanted to have something to present my tinkering projects and found that a lazy Susan would be ideal. I can put the camera on a tripod and film nice, steady before and after shots. Turning it by hand would be too irregular though. Since I still don't have a metal workshop, I had to resort to some woodworking again. The plate should be sturdy wood, but all I had around was some thin and medium plywood scraps. So I cut and glued a sandwich of 3 layers. The plate is 35 centimeters in diameter, which seems a good compromise and fits my scraps. To make sure my construction rotates smoothly and can carry a reasonable weight, I put in ball bearings on the base as rollers. I cut the holding blocks for the bearings on my table saw in one go to make them as even as possible. By adding blocks rather than directly mounting the bearings, I could shim them if needed. To drive the plate, I needed a connection to a motor. I opted for a drive belt, so I turned what I considered a large pulley and glued it to the plate. For the base, I decided on a very simple cross-beam construction with the main axle through the center. The 4 feet are just glued into place with wood glue. No fancy connections and such, just glue. I designed the thing in a way that the weight of the load will push everything further together, so the glue only has to hold so much. The motor turned out to be a big problem. Initially, I could only find DC motors with very high RPMs, so I had to cobble together a second reduction pulley combo. Tensioning the belts across 2 stationary gears with just 1 spring was a bit too flimsy. Oh, and I also got a 3D printer in the meantime, so making a large proper toothed gear for my toothed belt was suddenly an option. Awesome! After finding a few geared motors online, I selected one that would provide a nice low RPM to begin with, so I could ditch the reduction mechanism. Sweet! The new motor required construction of a new motor mount. Since I wanted to put enough tension on the belt to avoid any wobble, I added a counter bearing for the drive pulley, but that required a bit of creativity for making a sturdy part that still allowed the belt to run freely where it was supposed to. I used the opportunity to add a piece of acrylic to provide an even surface for the ball bearings. This should prevent any indents in the wood that would form over time and cause the contraption to jerk. With the mechanical parts finished, it was time to focus on the motor controller. The PWM controller I initially got had 3 drawbacks. 1. When powered on, it starts off running. 2. It goes from 0 to 100%, but my motor would only start at 30%. 3. It is not reversible. So, back to the drawing board. I brushed off my electronics gear and checked the output of the motor controller to design my own version, based around an ATtiny 13A, which seemed the ideal part for the job. I think I got a bit carried away when I made a circuit board for it, but I consider it a nice pilot project as this is my first commercially ordered PCB. And yes, it would not be a first version without a mod wire. Oops! Put the PCB into a nice case, add some sockets, and curse about cheap plugs that break when pulled. Eventually I did get the project done and running. To make the plate versatile and somewhat nice looking, I trimmed it with matte black paper and cut some colorful paper to put on it. This way it will match different colored items. To close off tonight's episode, have a look at one of my next projects, an old 35mm camera that needs some TLC. I hope you enjoyed this episode. See you next time. Bye!